Welcome to San Joaquin Spotlight, a public affairs program featuring conversations about life in the central San Joaquin Valley. This program is brought to you in partnership between KFSR 90.7 FM and CMAC Fresno. I'm your host, Sevag Tateosian. Today we're going to be talking about food, raw and natural food, with Chef Naomi Hendrix, Raw Fresno. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Before we talk about this delicious food that's laid out on the table, which I'm going to try, by the way.
Oh, good.
Why did you start Raw Fresno?
Well, you know, it was 7 years ago. I was diagnosed with dysbiosis. This is candida in the intestines. My doctor said, I'm not sure why you would have something like this because people that have cancer has candida. She says to get rid of this, you would have to go gluten-free, sugar-free, dairy-free, vinegar-free, soy-free, yeast-free, no processed food anymore, just raw food.
Was that, when they told you that, did you think, how am I going to survive?
No, I knew. I've been eating very healthy for a long time, and that's why she was so surprised, because I was mostly vegetarian. Mostly vegan. I was eating some raw milk products, but, and so I knew that eating raw was the best way to eat because I'd been introduced to it, and when you don't heat up food, the enzymes are bioavailable for your body. And so that's what happens with our food is when we cook it, it heats it up, it kills the enzymes. We need enzymes to digest food. And that's what's wrong with our society today is we walk around starving to death, undernourished and overfed, and we're bloating and we feel terrible all the time. And so I knew that as I studied that I could help other people find out that this was really beneficial. It just was amazing.
See, and sometimes I'll eat something very small and I'll feel bloated, I'll feel tired. Does it have anything to do with what you're talking about?
Oh, absolutely. By cooking food, it changes the molecular, composition of the food so that our body actually is feeling that it's foreign. And so what helps the digestion is kefir. Any kind of probiotic is very good for us. And so a lot of people purchase maybe Activia, yogurt, but these are they're dairy products. And a lot of people aren't able to eat dairy anymore because of the lactose intolerance that they might have.
Some people may say, you know what, raw foods, natural foods, it's tough to accomplish that diet. What do you have to say to them?
Well, anything can be difficult. If that's the mindset that you go in on, then that's exactly how it's going to be for you. That's how I feel. I walked into this really not knowing anything other than I knew that I had eaten at Cafe Gratitude, which was a raw vegan restaurant in the Bay Area. And it was delicious. And it was like, if I could make food like this, then I could eat like this the rest of my life. And so I've gone back to school, Living Light Institute, and learned how to do this type of deliciousness. And go ahead.
Is this catching on? I mean, what I'm finding is the more and more people I talk to, the more and more people will say, I'm eating raw now, I'm eating natural now. Is this catching on, or has this always been popular?
Well, it hasn't been very popular for a long time. It is catching on, and Fresno is finally waking up. I can see that. After 7 years of doing this, I've been teaching classes at Whole Foods once a month, all these years. And so the people come and they learn and they're excited and they love leaving with recipes and knowing at least, 1 or 2 things to do on their meatless Mondays.
So I'm going to try some of this food. So
Okay.
the first thing I'm trying is this juice.
And it's not juice. This is kefir water. It's a probiotic beverage. It's good for your digestion. It's good bacterias. It's a fermented beverage.
How is this made? I mean, does this take months to make, or I mean, how long does it take to make this cup of, well, I call it juice,
Yeah.
but kefir?
Kefir. It takes only 2 days to ferment on the countertop. We put water, clean water, Rapadura sugar. You've probably never heard of Rapadura.
I've never heard of that.
It's made by Rapunzel. It's an unrefined, unprocessed sugar. It's dark brown. It has no, it's not white. It's not been washed with chemicals like the other white sugars have. So it has the molasses in it. Those are minerals that our body doesn't get anywhere else that are in molasses and that are in maple syrup. So we use those types of sweeteners that are good for us, that we won't get those minerals anywhere else.
Is it more expensive to eat natural and raw? Is that, what do you think, I guess the better question is, what do you think the hesitation is? Because some people will say, I don't want to eat raw and natural.
Well, you said two things there that caught my attention. And one thing was, is it expensive? And I think meat is expensive. Chips, sodas, all these types of drinks, and you have to drink multiple ones, those things are expensive. Growing cows in this society, what, 1 million gallons of water it takes to, I know that I'm going off of the subject here, but the other thing was, what was your other question? I'm sorry.
Basically, why do you think more people are not doing this?
They don't want to do it because they're afraid of the unknown. They're getting used to only having fast food. This can be very fast because you have parts of it prepared already, and then you just incorporate things together to build something as a meal.
None of this stuff in front of me is cooked?
Correct. Nothing.
Let me try something that I was smelling, and you were kind of laughing at me, but I'm going to try this Happy Tummy cheesecake because I'm dying to try it. And if we can get a zoom in on this label, I think it smells delicious, but it's not, I mean, cheesecake, you would think baking or something like that. This doesn't have that.
Right, and there's no milk, no dairy. This is made with cashews.
Cashews.
Yes.
Ooh, that's good.
Thanks.
That is very good. Okay. And is that the common thing you're seeing when people are trying this food?
Oh, absolutely. They're shocked at how delicious it is, and then how filling it is. A small portion like that can be a breakfast or a lunch or a dinner. I mean, 7 years ago, I was 65 pounds heavier. And so by losing the weight, I ate that 3 times a day.
But are we getting the nutrients? I mean, is this the same? Does this have the same nutrient value as other food I'd be eating?
This has more nutrient value than any of the food that you're most likely eating. Everything here is organic, and it has not been, the enzymes have not been killed. Anything heated over 118 degrees, it starts degenerating. So.
What? Now, you have a lunch truck or a truck that goes to different places. Where do you go?
I do, and we've named her Minerva after my grandmother.
Minerva.
Yeah, so she's Minerva the Rawmeister. My grandson named her that portion. And we go all over the place. We have Kaiser on Wednesday. On Thursdays, we're at the Fulton Mall, right down here at the Cart Hop. On Monday, Wednesday evenings, tonight, we're at Metal Mart. Over there off of Cedar and Ashland, that indoor climbing space. It is such a fun location. And then Bella Fruta on the weekends. We're juicing there from 6 a.m. until 2. We're at Bella Fruta.
I could imagine that you have a following.
Yes.
And talk about how that feels when someone comes and tries this food and says, wow, this is delicious.
It it thrills me when people come and if I could tell you a little story, when I was at Cart Hop the other day, a woman drove in from Lemoore. She said, I have heard about this Cart Hop for so long and I couldn't wait to get here, and it worked out that I'm here. And as I walked around to all the trucks, you know what? I could have a taco any day in Lemoore, and I could have a burger any day in Lemoore, but I could never have a Caesar kale salad in Lemoore. I am just thrilled to find your truck here. And so she bought about 4 or 5 or 6 items to even take home to have for the next day.
How do you come up with your items? I mean, where do you come up with the food? Like, you know, I'm excited. I'm going to try this ranch pretty soon. But what made you say I'm going to make ranch this time? I mean, where did you come up with these ideas to make this food?
Well, I eat this food myself, and so actually all these foods are my favorite food, because whenever we have anything left over, who's going to eat it? The chef, right? Because we do have to eat also. So, and then the other thing is, you know, I mean, I'm out there in the public eye, and I'm feeding humans, and what do they like? You know, people like ranch dressing with dipping carrots, dipping celery, broccoli, chips. You can dip chips. You can put it on a sandwich instead of mayonnaise. I mean, so the ranch dressing is just so.
It's a hit. Everybody loves ranch.
Yeah, everybody loves ranch. So I can make anything raw that you like that's cooked.
Where can people find out more information about, you know, your menu, where you're going to be? You have a very creative website.
Thank you. It's rawfresno.com. Just go on there and it'll show the calendar of exactly what location we are in that day.
So I'm going to try something called brownie scoops, and I'm going to hold this thing up while the camera focuses on it. Brownie scoops, and I'm excited to try this. So this is like a brownie.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
with no dairy or anything like that.
Right. It's made from almonds, dates, cacao powder. Cacao is raw chocolate.
Tell us how to make this while I taste it.
Well, you just put 3 cups of almonds that I soak the nuts and then dry them in the dehydrator under 118 degrees. And then, this guy's laughing. I'm sorry. How was that?
It was delicious, and he's probably laughing because I have a huge smile on my face as I'm enjoying this food.
So in the food processor, we put almonds, and then we put dates and cacao powder and salt and vanilla all together, and just process it together and then scoop it out with a little ice cream scoop.
When you started this, what were your thoughts as people were starting to talk about you? Because you're all over social media. What were your thoughts as, you know, when people started tasting it and, you know, they liked it? What are you thinking at that point?
Well, I'm thinking that I remembered how I felt when I was sick and I couldn't eat anything, and that I wish that somebody could have brought something to me or had something available that was healthy and I could have eaten. And so I know, and that's why I'm here. I'm here for those 10%. I used to say it was 1%, but I feel that it's grown now, and it's 10% of the people that are looking for a gluten-free choice. They're looking maybe for a sugar-free or a plant-based, something that's not made with animals.
Preservatives. We always hear about it as a bad word. In your opinion, preservatives, I mean, does any of this stuff have preservatives? And what's the negative about preservatives?
Well, none of these things have preservatives in it. The only thing that would be preserved is naturally fermented. It preserves it so it lasts longer. It wouldn't sit out in the refrigerator. It still needs to be refrigerated, but it is preserved because it's fermented. So, and each one of these items, I always put the kefir water in the cheesecake, in this, in multiple things, so that all of the food that I make is a probiotic.
Where does the ingredients for this come from? Because Is it like the supermarket like we know of, or are there specialty stores?
Oh no, I go to straight to the farm.
Interesting.
Yeah, I buy from the organic farmers right here locally in town.
Do we have a lot of organic farmers
We
in
do.
town?
We have a lot of organic farmers. And the farmers markets are just every day of the week practically here in Fresno, and you can find one and buy a, oh my goodness, a bunch of kale for $1 or $1.50 a bunch. I mean, it's very inexpensive.
Something like kale chips, let's say. I mean, you can do creative things with raw and natural food. What is your absolute favorite food?
It's this right here, the mung. I think it's the mung beans. I want you to try the sprouted mung beans. And then, or my cashew queso, my cheese is absolutely delicious. I love my cashew queso cheese.
What is this? That was good. That was very good.
That's my favorite. It's mung beans sprouted, and then it has my ranch dressing on top.
How long does it take you to make this food? Because I can hear the argument now, oh, that takes too long.
It's so simple. I mean, if I knew I was going to be here yesterday, and I was going to prepare a whole catering meal for all of you, I would just start yesterday by sprouting those mung beans, soaking them overnight. By the end of, I would soak them overnight, and this morning, I would drain them, and by this afternoon and this evening, they would have the little tails out there. And so, I mean, it's all about just soaking and sprouting. Oh, I traveled to Bass Lake to teach classes once a month up there also. And the other day I was traveling, and I had this one box of 5 or 6 ingredients: almonds, cashews, sprouts, very small amounts of items. And I was just amazed with it. I was amazed with it myself. I was looking at it and I thought, guess what I'm going to do with these items? This is going to make a meal for these 15 people. It's amazing.
And you came up with the meal. How did that end up going?
Oh, it was perfect. It was delicious, and they just love it. Everyone learns and loves it.
What's your most popular spot? I mean, you travel all over the place. So what's the spot that gets you the biggest crowd?
Well, we're really new actually this year, so we're trying to find our people still, is what I call it. And I think we have found them at Metal Mart. That it's the athletic people that are really conscientious about what they put in their body, and so they need to fill it with something good. So Metal Mart is a really great place. People stop by there. It's in the middle of town, so people even stop by if they don't go to that gym. But a lot of the gym is packed, and they come out and love our food and love us coming there.
We've used the word natural and raw multiple times, but can you tell us what is meant by natural food?
Well, I wouldn't even use the word natural, because actually I could almost say it's against the law to use natural because there are no laws about using natural. Anybody can put natural on anything, and it doesn't mean a thing. It does not mean one thing.
So if I'm making chips, let's say, I could put natural chips, and it could mean something totally different than your natural.
Exactly. You could be cooking it in trans fat oil. That's not natural.
But what is, in your opinion, in your view, what does natural mean?
What does natural mean? If it grows out of the ground.
And then you take that natural product and you combine it with other natural products, and you come up with these delicious
entrees.
Things. What's the item you use the most? I mean, there are some things that I've noticed from your website that you use, like kale, a lot.
Right.
What other things do you use?
I think I use a lot of cashews. So the cashews, it makes it creamy. So it's, like the milky creamy. And then the cheesecake, that comes with the cashews are in that. The ranch dressing, the cheesecake. Oh, and then the cashew queso. The cheese right here that's on this cracker. Look, I'm going to let you sample just the cheese, okay? There's a little sprout there.
That is very good.
Garlicky.
That tastes like dairy cheese.
I know.
So how do you make that cheese?
It has kefir in it. It's a fermented cheese. It's just like cheese is fermented.
But it doesn't have any of the
Dairy, no dairy.
any of the characteristics that we would use for cheese.
Right. And what this does, all of these food items helps your body regenerate your cells. You know, your liver, you can get a brand new liver in 45 days.
A brand new liver in 45 days.
Yeah.
What other health ramifications or what other health positive things can come in your health by eating this food?
Well, no more eczema, no more dry skin, asthma, diabetes, heart disease, cancer. The list goes on. I mean, let thy food be thy medicine, and let thy medicine be thy food.
Do we as a society, do you think we're at a point where a majority of people respect this food as what it is, health? Or do you think there's still some people that you're not going to be able to have try this food? Because I'll tell you, it's delicious. I mean, that cheese that I just tasted, I could see myself eating that cheese every day for breakfast.
Right. Interesting, for breakfast. I have it every night for dinner.
Oh, there you go. How many people are doing what you're doing in this town? I mean, you're unique. You have the truck. You go around different spots. Are there a lot of people doing this?
No, no. Not selling it. There are customers, of course. I mean, I wouldn't be able to stay alive if there wasn't people wanting and desiring to better their health.
I'm going to try the ranch. So tell us while I try the ranch.
But you already tried the ranch.
I did? Oh, it was in there.
It was in there. You want the Caesar salad right here, or the stuffed mushroom.
Okay, the Caesar salad or the stuffed mushroom. Let's try that.
There's the Caesar salad right there. And that Caesar salad right there, if I put that in the dehydrator, then that's your kale chips. Cheesy kale chips right there.
So how is this made? And you know, this is, I mean, it looks like a salad that I can buy at any restaurant. I mean, it looks like a typical salad.
Right.
So how's this made?
So it's a massage salad. So we call it massage because we massage it with our hands, and it breaks it down so it is almost kind of wilted. And so it's not really harsh. And how do you feel about that?
I mean, it tastes great. And you know, normally with kale, it's a little bitter.
Yeah.
And so that's my opinion on kale. But this adds some different flavors to it, and it just brings out this. The audience has got to try this, first of all, because it's very good.
Thank you.
What else is in there other than?
So the dressing is nutritional yeast, tahini, lemon juice, garlic. Very simple.
Tahini. You mentioned tahini, and I smiled because we've been eating tahini since I was a kid.
Right.
It looks like it's getting popular now. What is tahini?
Tahini is made with sesame seeds.
And is it like a paste or peanut butter or something?
It's just like a peanut butter, almond butters. Yeah.
So what else? I haven't tried.
Mushrooms. You love the stuffed mushrooms.
Okay, so let's.
You want me to cut it in half for you?
Yeah.
Because I know that you would like to share it with other people here. See, the chef knows how to do it.
Chef Naomi, we got to try this stuffed mushrooms.
And
now, what's in here?
This is marinated for 2 days with Bragg's liquid aminos and lemon juice. And then the nut meat inside is almonds, the stems of the mushrooms, and cilantro.
I taste the cilantro. I taste the garlic. Yeah. I mean, it tastes like it's tough to explain what it tastes like because it's good and it's a variety of flavors. Before you incorporate this, how many times do you try it to make sure that it's perfect?
Really, these are my main staple items that I prepare all the time. So it's just, I taste it once and I know, and it's good. You know, like every time
it stays.
Yeah, every time I make the cheese, I go, oh my goodness, this is so delicious. I love it. It's just so good.
How many people are on the truck? Typically, the lunch truck has 2 people: the chef, and then the person taking the money. Yeah. Is yours? Walk us through what it looks like. Your truck.
Well, my truck has actually a local flair to it. The engine cover has big sunflowers painted on it by the local artist Carlene Ryan. And then I have another local artist painting from Johnny Marsh. I'm not how to say his last name, but it's a beautiful sunrise on that also. When you walk into our kitchen, we have just a prep table that you open up that has my prep refrigerator that you can just build everything right there. And then we have only 2 people also. So the chef and the person taking the money, and the person taking the money would do juice. And so we have fresh juice, green smoothies also, and
But there's no, I mean, typically the lunch truck has the grill,
right.
it has the fryer,
Yeah.
and then some of them even have a pit for a barbecue. Yours doesn't have any of
Has
that.
none of that. Only a refrigerator and counter space, cutting boards, and Vitamix, food processors, and juicers.
Do you do parties? I mean, let's say our audience member says, you know what, this is delicious,
Yeah.
and I want to have stuffed mushrooms and Caesar kale salad
Yeah.
at my event. Do you do stuff like that?
Absolutely. Yes, I do cater. I get a catering job at least a couple times a week. Even just little small parties that people might have a prayer meeting or something that they need to go to or give food to somebody at the hospital. I do small orders or large birthday cakes.
What, I mean, are your prices comparable, or because it's natural and organic, it's a little more expensive, or how do you compare your prices to the average lunch truck out there?
Oh, it's the same as the local lunch truck. A lot of times theirs is more expensive.
Tell us again where people can find out more information about where you're going to be and this great food.
So Bella Fruta is a great location. It's our new spot that we're out there every weekend on Saturdays and Sundays from 6 a.m. to 2. And where else? We're everywhere. We're at Tower Health. We have Grab and Go at Tower Health. We have Grab and Go at Peeves Local Market. Also at PDQ at the Clovis Bakery. We have some cheeses out there. And yeah, the Old Town Farmers Market on Saturdays.
And you're also on Facebook. You're very active in social media.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, and what's the other one? Oh my goodness, Twitter.
Twitter.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming this
Thank
week on the
you.
program.
Thank you.
That's all for this edition of San Joaquin Spotlight. Our guest has been Chef Naomi Hendrix. She has brought some delicious food here, and you can also find her with a truck that goes to different locations. Thank you to the volunteer crew that made this and every production possible. You know, while I'm here eating this delicious food, there are people behind the cameras and in the studio watching me. I promise they're going to get a chance to eat this great food as well. We couldn't do the show without them. Thank you to our audience members watching on CMAC, Comcast 93, AT&T 99, and to our audience members listening on KFSR 90.7, KFSR Fresno. Tune in next week for a new edition.